story. Today's the Bertie. Ouch! And we can have to start for these. Ouch story, chapter 1. And we can have to do another ouch story, chapter 2. Okay? And one more time story after reading about it. So one more dirty birdie story. Worms. And we can just do it for, it's not a worm story, it's a manner story. Manner story, chapter 3. And we can do the end of manner story, chapter 4. Okay? And now, are you ready to read these 2 books and 2 stories? Here we go! First, we can read Dirty Birdie Worms. Mrs. Prim stood at front of the class. She was tall and thin. Her glasses hung around her neck in a cord. Bertie thought she must 100 at last. He seen Mrs. Prim in the library where she stood behind a desk and stamped people books. He hoped she didn't remember him. Last time, he'd been to the library before he'd done something in a story corner that had to leave quickly. This is Mrs. Prim, said Mrs. Boot. I hope we're all going to show her how well mannered will be. She ran her eye over class, who were all sitting up straight and playing afternoon. It was marvelous as Aptac Fry could have. Even Bertie wasn't rolling a seat or pushing a pencil up nose. Mrs. Prim talked to class about improved good manners. Bertie tried to listen, but his mind was drifting off. He was with Mange whizzing down the side of the doom and a mega mayhem. Now, said Mrs. Boo, who would like to show our visitor around school? Let's have 2 biters. Bertie had showed a zero. They was enthused to saw Mrs. Prim how poor it could be. Inevitably, everyone else in his class had the same idea. Dirty children stared up to the seats, waving their hands in the air. Miss! Oh, miss! Please, miss! Oh, everyone wanted to question it. Mrs. Boo pointed. Nick, I'm sure you look after like a visitor. But there was 2 visitors to choice. So, one more visitor to choice, Nick, and one more friend. Who was it? Bertie couldn't believe it. No, old Nick. Why did he always get picked? Just because he made a Mrs. Buddha Sophie call over her day. And it wasn't fair. Bertie never got picked for anything. Mrs. Wood instead. She needs someone else to toilet and never level. Miss, oh miss, me miss! Everyone was so excited to have a visitor. And what about the boy at the back who was sitting so quietly? Suggested Mrs. Prim. Oh, said Mrs. Boo. No, Bertie, you hadn't been listening. Look up. Me? He said. Oh, Bertie think he was not going to be the visitor, but he was visitor with Nick. Just not going to be a Nick. Mrs. Prim walked down at the corner and raided the painting of the wall. That one's mine, said Nick, pointing to the broad picture of the sunset. There was once mine, said Bertie, pointing up the startling Mrs. Green. It was an alien that had dinner inside him. Ah, said Mrs. Prim, how usual. Don't have his hanky, Bertie? Oh yes, excuse me, said Bertie. And he pulled out his hanky, offered to Mrs. Prim. No, I mean to you. You had to wipe your nose. Oh, thanks, said Bertie. He whipped his nose, slit and pockets of the hanky, and he just remembered Buzz around and ripping inside. He didn't want him falling out. Mrs. Prim sighed happily. Perhaps we could look at the next class, she said. Nick started to walk away quickly, and Bertie just kept beside him. There is a mad dash for the door, and they both grabbed handle at once. I was, Mrs. Prim caught up then. Boys, I hope we're not jabbering, she said. No, smiled Nick. I was just telling Bertie his shorts was hanging out. Bertie looked behind them. Nick was wanted up in the door, splishing Bertie behind it. After you, miss, said Nick. And Mrs. Prim behind them. Thank you, Nicholas. It was nice to see someone remember the manners. And this is chapter 4 right now. And tomorrow is for the 40s. Manner Story, chapter 4. And we came up to the end of Manner Story. Oh, we came up to the end of reading Manner Story when we tomorrow to read. Okay, but it was okay to have a new books. And Dirty Bertie, ouch! Why is Bertie was very ouchy? Because of their lots of shiny things? Oh yeah, it was very shiny, but it was so scary because it was so pointy. And now, I'm sorry, chapter 1. Go on, said Darren. I dare you before he comes back. Bertie looked at Hammer. He belonged to Mrs. Grinch, a tiny cracker, and Bertie and Darren was helping him in the seriously school play. So for 4 days, done nothing but stand around listening to the cracker grumble. And Mrs. Grinch wasn't around right now. He got up and fashioned leaves, badge, and more nails, having a hammer lying on the stage. Why don't you do it? Asked Bertie. I dare you first, said Darren. I dare you back, said Bertie. I double you their returns, said Darren. And Bertie looked around. He never refused there. Not even the time Darren had him a lock and Winky just cupboard, and it was all just a little tap with a hammer. What harm could we do? A nail was sticking up perfectly, beginning to be hit. Bertie picked up the hammer and took a swing. Watch that all you're doing, cried Darren, ducking out of the way. Well, stand back, Dan, said Bertie. I need a room. And Bertie glanced around, checking that no one about it. All clear. Dink! He trapped a nail on the hand. Oh, Darren rolled his eyes. Not like that. Give a pampered wreck. Oh, so the hammer was fall down on Bertie's head. Hand, I mean, not a head. So Bertie held the nail between a finger and thumb, and he swung the hammer back and tried it down. Dunk! Ow! He wailed, dropping up the hammer. What did he do? Said Darren. I hit my thumb. Ow! Ow! Bertie stopped around and broke up the dance floor. Shh, hissed Darren. Someone will hear you. Bertie was too much playing to care. Ow! 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 He rolled it. The full stairs was stumbling on the carol, and Mrs. Scorch will be on a hair, followed by Mrs. Foot. What's going on? yelled Mrs. Foot. Nothing, said Darren. Ow! Said Bertie, doubled up with a plan, and there is Grunch off the spittle hammer on the floor. Have you been playing with this? He growled and picking up. Darren shook his head. No, he said. I haven't. Mrs. Foot turned up Bertie. Did you touch this hammer? I was only trying to help, moaned Bertie. I knew it, cried Mr. Grunch. I turned my back for 2 seconds and it was as happened. My boy was medicine, and he should be explained. Yes, thank you. you, Mrs. Crunch, said Mrs. Boot. I'll do you this. Ow, ow, wailed Bertie. I say it was broken. Oh, don't make such fuss, says snapped Mrs. Boot. Let me see it. Bertie let go his thumb and around in his patient. Yikes, he had done the purple slitting like a balloon. I don't feel very well, he said, going pale. Mrs. Boot changed. Take him to the Mrs. Snicker office, she ordered, and Bertie, don't think you've heard lots of these. I was just speaking to your parents. Bertie sat outside in the Snicker office and the nursing by in porch, and he was all wet by a wet paper towel, and he couldn't believe everyone was all remaining to climb when they called an ambulance. For all they knew, he knew by staring. The door flew open and his mom hurried in. Bertie, are you all right? She said. Bertie shook his head meekly and his hand. I think it's broken. He moved in your hand. My dump. Well, what happened? It wasn't my fault, said Bertie. I was trying to help. The hammer was slipped in. Hammer, screamed Mom. What on earth are you doing in the hammer? Hammering, replied Bertie. Well, next time, don't. Hammers are dangerous, said Mom. Let me see. Bertie gingerly wiped up the soggy paper towel, and Bertie was still sullen. Mom stared at it. Is that it? She said, I thought it was serious. It hurts, said Bertie. It's probably broken. So you kept saying, sighed Mom. Well, you have better check out. Let's get your hospital. And now, chapter 2. Right now, after my biscuit forward, is our story, chapter 2. And we're coming to the end of chapter 3, okay? And now, did you have fun? US English Country will come back with some better books. See, there's 2 books too. And yours will be see tomorrow, and the book children will be see tomorrow. Dirty Bertie will be see tomorrow, and the manners will be see tomorrow again. And some of the kind of some Nick will be see tomorrow, and one more Dirty Bertie story. Ouch will be see tomorrow, and the nails and the hammers and the dangerous things will be see tomorrow again. And now, don't forget to subscribe to YouTube, and bye my friend. Have a nice day.